This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the council will be held on Monday, February 22nd, 2016, 7:30 p.m. Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Here.
Mr. Green.
Here.
Mr. Mollis.
Here.
Mrs. Panos.
Here.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
President Cahill.
Here.
7 present.
May I please just say that Mary Sohar is not here. She's recovering from surgery. Was in the hospital for the past 5 days, so our thoughts are with you, Mayor. Good recovery.
Okay. All right, first items on the agenda are council appointments. We have 3. I think everybody's seen the emails going back and forth, but there's a appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board. I believe all council members had the resume. There's an appointment to the Shade Tree Commission. That person currently serves right now, and again, you got you got the email. And there's an appointment to the Ethics Board. So I have a motion for the Rec Board, please. The gentleman who applied for the Rec Board.
There were actually 2
President
applications.
Cahill, isn't there more than one person, one seat vacant? For
Yeah,
the rec board?
there's this one, and if you want to make a motion for another seat,
Okay.
that'd be great. Why don't we just do this one first? This is the gentleman that was recommended by the Rec Board. So if we could do that one first, I'd appreciate it, and then we can move on to other appointments. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Second. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
You have another appointment to the
I
Rec Board?
make a motion to nominate Rob Thompson to the Rec Board.
I'll second that.
Okay. Got a motion and a second.
Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar. Oh, sorry. Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Appointment to the Shade Tree Commission. Term expires 12/31/2020. You have his resume here? Letter, I mean.
No, we were supposed to get his letter. I didn't get it yet.
We didn't get it
He's
yet?
on it. He's on it.
He currently serves. What's his name again? I'm sorry.
Gary
Gary Laval, I'm sorry,
Laval.
yeah. Gary's our tree expert, yeah. Hello.
I move it.
We got a motion, and we have a second? please?
Second.
Second it.
Motion and a second.
Okay.
Roll call, Mr. Laval.
Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
The next one is appointment to the Ethics Board. There's a Mr. Ed Deaver. He currently serves.
Move it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg Belli.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, next item is presentations. Mayor Henry and the Office of Economic Development. We're going to present checks to the Camp Robin for the Municipal Alliance and the Chamber of Commerce from the proceeds of the Township magazine. Mr. Mayor and Mr. Macus, excuse me.
Thank you, Council. I'm going to hand over the microphone to Steve Makis, who was responsible for putting the new Township magazine together. I believe everyone has a copy of it. And what our intentions were, any monies that the Business Alliance or the Township would make off this, that we would give right back to the community. And we've chosen 4 organizations to present this to. We did one already to the Families Against Addiction. We have 3 more tonight. So I'll hand it off to Steve, and he give some background about how it happened, and why it took so long. But anyone who's looked at the publication, I think it's professionally done.
It is, yeah.
A lot of information about the township is there. We encourage all residents to have a copy because there's a lot of information inside the magazine.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, what we're here to do is we're going to present 3 of the 4 checks from the proceeds of the Township magazine, which the publication, it's from the 2015-2016 publication. We're going to present it to 3 organizations tonight. The 4th one was presented to the Old Bridge Families Against Addiction at the Business Alliance meeting a couple of weeks ago. How it came about is the magazine, the content in the magazine was presented to Town Square Publications. So we provided all the content and information. Town Square Publications went out, got the advertisers, and actually produced a publication. So the proceeds from the publication are going directly from Town Square to these organizations. So that's how that came about. The magazine highlights and showcases our township, what our township is about, the history from our shore all the way to the cover, as you can see, has the 75th anniversary, which was celebrating of Cheesequake State Park, all the way to the roar of the engines at Raceway Park. So it's a great magazine. It's high quality. It's distributed throughout town. You can get it right out here as you walk out of the lobby. It's always in the lobby, so if you want to come in and grab one there. So without further ado,
Steve, you can also get it on the website, too.
it's on the website.
Yeah.
There's an online copy on the website. We want to thank all of the advertisers that advertised in the magazine, and there's a whole load of them in there, and they can see that it helps them promote their business, and also they can see what a worthy cause it went to within the township. So the 3 organizations that we're going to have come up is the Camp Robin. We're going to have the Old Bridge the Old Bridge Municipal Alliance, and the Old Bridge Chamber of Commerce will be receiving the checks. And the other one was the Families Against Addiction. So we'd like to bring up all the organizations, and I have the checks right here in my hand. So we also want to bring up, we do one at a time? We can do one at a time? Okay. So let's have Camp Robin come on up. Who's here from Camp Robin?
Try and catch that.
I give you the real one, that's right.
It's $1,500 to the Camp Robin.
Pat, you want to come on up, Pat?
Here you go, Pete.
Pat was instrumental. Pat went out throughout the township. He actually got the advertisers, made the publication first. He's been doing it for a long time, and he's a professional at what he does. Thank you, Steve. So let's get the next check out to, what do we have there?
Municipal Alliance.
The Municipal Alliance, come on up, Karen and...
Thank you.
1,000.
Thank you.
Welcome.
The next one goes to the Chamber of Commerce, who serves our
Saraville and
township.
South Amboy.
Well, and we have Lynette Davis, Senior Vice President over at Raritan Bay Medical Center. We want to thank you for supporting us for so many years, the township, and always taking the back cover. We have the houses here.
Rich is here.
Chris is here.
Yeah, we gave
These
you
are
breakdown.
representatives from the Chamber of Commerce. Got the check there. There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
So you can get a copy in the lobby, or here, right up at the front. We want to thank everybody for,
I need to personally thank Mr. Mamakis for all the hard work in doing this and seeing this from the beginning till the end.
Yeah.
And I think everyone, this is Old Bridge at its best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great reflection, Old Bridge, man. Good job, Steve.
Very nice.
Okay, very good. Okay, approval of minutes of previous meetings. We're going to approve the minutes of the reorganization meeting, January 1st, 2016. I have a motion, please.
I'll move it.
And a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Green, seconded by Mr. Rosencrantz. Any questions, comments, concerns?
I have comments.
Ms. Dr. Greenberg-Belli?
Okay. Unfortunately, if anyone witnessed the reorganization meeting, it was not very pleasant. And it's a process that unfortunately was a little embarrassing at moments. And above all, I don't feel that I can sign off on this process, and I'll state just one example, but there was many, if anyone who wishes to review it, as I have many times. And, for example, the appointment to the Municipal Utility Authority, that was completely taken out of order. The first seat that was vacant was Mr. Cahill's when he stepped down, and that's the seat that should have been filled first. Then Councilman Green resigned from the one-year seat, the term that he had left of 1 year. That should have been filled next. And then Mr. Testino's seat that would be given up at the end of this month, that's the seat. It was deliberately taken out of order, and I believe, so Mr. Green got the first vote of the 5-year term, and that just formed a situation where he got the approval for that, so then he got the okay, that I'll get that first, and then I'll go along with other stuff.
Dr. Greenberg,
And
just
I
one
can-
sec. This is about the minutes, not about the meeting itself.
Yes, and
You could
that's
do that
why I'm
during-
saying I
You could do that
can't
during
ma-
council comments if you
No,
like, but
there's
this is
other
about the
reason.
minutes. Do
And
you have
I'm-
any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not voting for it because the way the
But
process
this is
was
about
done.
approving the minutes based on if you have any additions or, any corrections, okay?
Yeah, that's a correction, the process wasn't right.
Okay.
And it stemmed a lot from a meeting that happened before, too.
Okay. Any other comments on the January 1st minutes? I have a motion and a second?
Move it.
I have it, okay. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
No.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
No.
President Cahill.
Yes.
5 yes, 2 no.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the bill list, Mr. Rosencrantz.
Thank you, Council President. Bill list, accounts payable February 8th, 2016, $18,704,690.10.
Need a motion, please?
I'll move it.
And a
Second.
second. Moved by Mr. Green, seconded by Mrs. Panos. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg. Yes. Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Payroll, February 3rd, 2016, $865,409.47.
Have a motion, please.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Green,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Rosencrantz. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos. Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Payroll overtime, February 3rd, 2016, $23,884.33.
Have a motion, please.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Green, seconded by Mrs. Panos. Anybody have any questions before we go to the administrator? Mr. Marion, please.
Thank you, Council President. As stated by Mr. Rosencrantz, the payroll date ending February 3rd, 2016, overtime in the amount of $23,884.33. If you follow along in your council packets in the breakdown of overtime there, nothing too much to see. You do have an uptick in your subcode official due to, I know we were down one inspector. In regards to everything else, I'll break down the police department. We did have some additional grants in recycling tonnage and also in our DWI grant. Moving to the police department, the pay period ending 2/3/2016 represents 200 man and women hours for a total of $13,328.44. Of that sworn officer overtime, $13,328.44. You subtract grants, which I mentioned before for DWI, in the amount of $1,003.80. There's no ETO this time period. Your total overtime for the police department sworn, $12,324.64. Our cost driver this month, again, we still have one patrol officer out on medical.
Any questions for Mr. Marion about his breakdown? Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay, moving on to second reading ordinances. Ordinance number 1, 2016-01, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge establishing a redevelopment plan for the former Lawrence Harbor Senior Center property. I have a motion, please.
I'll make a motion, sir.
Moved by Mr. Mollis,
Second.
seconded by Mrs. Panos. Before we go to council, anybody from the public want to be heard on ordinance number 1? I'll close the public portion. Council, any comments on this particular item?
I guess,
Councilman Panos?
thank you, Council President, only because there's some students in the audience, and I just wanted them to realize what's going on here. The township is designating a piece of property in the Lawrence Harbor section. It was a dilapidated building. Now it's under redevelopment, and it's going to be built as something else. So I believe Habitat for Humanity is going to build something. So not only are you here tonight, but please come and pick up a hammer when it happens. Thank you.
Any other council comments on ordinance number 1, second reading? I have a motion to second, right? Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
The second item on second reading is ordinance number 2, 2016-02, ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge rescinding ordinance number 06-2006, the provisions of Title 39 New Jersey Motor Vehicle Statute, Subtitle 1, with various traffic regulations applicable to Bridgepoint condominiums and regulating the use of said roadways, streets, driveways, and parking lots. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Mollis.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Green. Anybody in the public want to be heard on this particular item? I'll close the public portion. Council, what's your pleasure? Any comments? Seeing none, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Anybody signed up for public
Yes.
comments? Okay. So we're going to go to the public portion. There's preliminary public comments to the council subject to the following conditions and restrictions. 1, during the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the town council on one subject for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the township clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which public comment or hearing, for which comment or public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Mark Rizzoli.
Just name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mark Rizzoli, resident of Ward 4. Just to continue from last meeting, it ended basically with the Ethics Board ordinance being defeated. But towards the end of the meeting, I heard Councilwoman Panos nominate herself to be the liaison to the Ethics Board, which I find absolutely outrageous, when she voted to abolish it. And the reality of it is, her demeanor here, whether it's in council chambers or in a park in Sayreville, she's the last person that should be any type of liaison to the Ethics Board. And also, maybe Chris Marion or the town lawyer can provide me with the state law that mandates that I give my address, and the councilwoman made a big deal last council meeting.
Okay, this is directed to the council. This is the council comments directed to the
Well,
council.
I'm ending on. I would
Okay.
like to be provided with a copy of the state law that mandates me to produce my address in any manner, publicly or writing. I'd like a
We'll follow
copy
up
of
on
it.
that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nick Smoley. Nick.
I don't see Nick Smoley in the audience.
Rick Sarno.
Good evening, Mr. Sarno. Just
how are you?
name and address, please.
Richard Sarno, 2000 State Highway 18, Mare Manor.
Great, thank you.
All right. This is regards to an ongoing issue that I have with the parking area in back of our building where they put the gate up between the hospital and Mare Manor. I don't know if you're familiar with it at all.
Yes.
Okay. I went to a meeting at the hospital about 2 months ago, and I met with Michael Dagnus, and the other gentleman's name was William Alio or whatever. I don't know what his last name was. Anyway, he's from a vice president there. And he said he would be very interested in sitting down with the people at Mare Manor and discussing an alternative to the gate, the chain. And yet that has not happened. Okay. Number two is it's directed towards the police department here, which they've been using the Mare Manor back gate as their shortcut to get to Ferry Road. I have pictures here, and I've witnessed it, and several people have witnessed it. Using the sidewalk, driving over the grass, not driving out on Route 18 like I have to do. I want to know, if they can do it, can I do it? Will I get a ticket? Will they stop me? Or should I just ride over the chain, or the gate, or whatever you want to call it?
We can refer that to Mr. Maron, who can look into that
And that's
situation.
not the first time, it's about 3 or 4 times now. Also, ambulances still do not have keys to get into or out of that gate as an emergency. No one has keys to it.
Okay.
Fire
Mr. Maron,
department doesn't have keys, ambulances don't have keys, nobody has keys.
maybe we can get you some information on this.
Let me, if you may, Council
Please.
President, just very briefly, in regards to the, parking area and the chain, I can reach out to the hospital Vice President, William DeStancil, and have him,
Agnes will not respond to you, he won't respond to me, he won't respond to anybody.
I'm going to give it a shot, though, Mr. Sarno, so let me see.
The other people, the William.
I remember when he said they were indicated in meeting, they would be willing to meet with residents, so I can certainly follow up with him on that part. The second piece regarding the OBPD, I will refer that to the chief for review and comment to the council, so I can report back at the next meeting.
Great, thank you. We'll have to look into it and get back to you.
President?
Hold on one second. Does that satisfy you for at least now?
What?
Does that satisfy you at least now? We're gonna have to look into it. You're just bringing this to us tonight, so.
I know, it's
Yeah.
the same, it's the same.
Understood.
thing. It has to do with the chain.
Right.
Since I have to take the Route 18, I know you're not in charge of a state highway.
Right,
But Senator Thompson is in charge of that, isn't he?
Well, he's a state representative. He doesn't control, right.
Well, the first U-turn before the Wawa on Route 18, there's a U-turn that we can take to get out to 18 South.
Right.
There's no lights there, there's no yield sign, there's no sign that says U-turn. You could kill yourself getting there, and getting around the U-turn is almost impossible. They drive like 90 miles an hour down Route 18 yet. Ferry Road, the same thing. They drive 65, 75 miles an hour. It's a 45-mile-an-hour zone.
Okay.
Why aren't they doing anything about that?
Council
But
President.
the police department, they don't have any control over it.
Yeah, Mr. Marion, then
I
we'll
didn't want
get
to
to Mr.
forget
Green.
Mr. Sarno's third issue regarding the distribution of keys for the gate for the ambulances.
Yep.
It's my understanding that there were keys distributed to all public safety agencies. I did follow up with Mr. Garrity last time, because that was an issue I believe was raised before. But in that case, though, Mr. Sarno, if you know specific people you're speaking to who don't have, or saying that, then we need to know.
They just drive around. They don't go through the gate.
Then that's a different issue, but as far as the distribution of keys, so I will follow up with Tom and Garrity tomorrow and get a status of what has occurred there, because we can reach out to the agencies, fire departments, EMS very easily, and I haven't heard anything contrary, so not saying he's not correct, but I don't know.
Right.
I'll find out tomorrow.
Sure.
Mary Manor is more than willing to sit down and discuss, because they were never notified of anything. The changes went up.
Right.
They weren't even told about it.
Right,
Just because it's between two properties, Mary Manor was there first before the hospital, the
right,
second hospital.
right. Mr. Green, I know you wanted to quickly comment. on
Yeah,
this.
I just wanted to say that I understand the issue, and I think we did accomplish some things in that we made it accessible for those people in a wheelchair or handicapped in order to go from Moore Manor or Costello to the hospital. The other thing is I was alerted about 2 months ago that you were going to have, maybe not you, but there were going to be representatives from Moore Manor come down to the council meeting. So the individual that we've just referred to, the individual that we referred to from the hospital, he was here to answer any questions.
William?
Yeah, William, yeah. And I'm sure he's very willing to sit down, so if you want to.
I texted him several times, and he never returned my text, so.
Well, he definitely returns mine, so if you want to sit down with him and we can discuss this, he'll be more than glad to come up with some type of a compromise. And he was very willing to do that.
All right, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tony Pescetti?
Good evening. You know the drill, right? Name and address.
Pasquini, 40
Thank you.
Southwood Drive.
Thank you, Tony.
I want to talk about the preliminary public comments to council and the restrictions. The third restriction being comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which, I'm sorry. Number one is, during the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on one subject matter for a maximum period of 5 minutes. I would like the council to consider changing it to, from one subject to any subject. And the reason I'm asking for this request is because not only I, but others have asked if that could be changed so they can bring up multiple subjects at the beginning of the meeting, because many people can't stay to the end of the meeting. Sometimes it goes to 9:30, 10 o'clock to give the other subject matters. So my request is that we change the ordinance to any subject, and maybe as a consideration, reducing the period from 5 minutes to 3 minutes. Because I know for myself, I never take more than maybe 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes when I speak. Maybe with additional subject matter, it may take a little more. But I'm just asking the council to please consider changing the ordinance. Thank you.
Anybody else?
That's
sign
it.
up? Okay. Close the public portion. We'll go to council member comments. Who'd like to speak? Dr. Greenberg?
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, was going to talk about the Open Public Meeting Act, because Mr. Rizzoli said he was going to have some information for us, but I see that he's not here this evening.
There was an
so-
email that went out.
Yeah, so I'll hold off. No, I know that, so I'll hold off on that. But I did want to talk
Well, no, but I
about...
just want to be clear. There was an email that went out from Mr. Lazier tonight addressing your concern. So it's in your email.
Okay. So, and then I'll go over that because I just came from work and I didn't get a
Understood.
chance to review
I
it.
just wanna let you know it's in
So I will hold
there,
it.
so,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I'll hold it, that comment for next time. But bringing up the Ethics Board, I want to know, also, it was strange the last meeting when you said the only people that could be the liaison for the Ethics Board were the people who wanted to vote for it to go to the state. So that was a little confusing to me, that, there was people isolated from trying to be the liaison. But with further looking into it, the strangest thing is, why do we have a liaison from the council? I didn't see it in an ordinance, but more so, we've always tried to make the Ethics Board not be political, so it would behoove us not even to have a council member be there. I mean, I've been many times to meetings, and I don't remember a vote for the liaison to the Ethics Board. You were the liaison, and maybe you could explain how that
Sure.
came about.
Sure, I'd love to. First of all, if I said something that was confusing, I apologize. I was simply looking for a volunteer, and if anybody else would like to volunteer, it's a non-voting position, so that's fine. The liaison position is just that, it's a liaison. It's to help the Ethics Board understand the township a little bit better. It's not a voting position, the person has no authority. If there's an executive session, the council liaison has to leave. It's really just an advisory type position. It was established years ago. I'm not even sure when, but it was I think it was established before I got on the council. So all it is an advisory position. There's no teeth to it, if you will. So that's really what's behind that, so.
But basically, anyone could go to the
Absolutely.
meeting.
Sure. It's just somebody
So I don't
that-
understand why it's a title for a liaison to go there.
It's just so
And
we-
what purpose? Do they go there and then report things back to us? I don't understand the purpose.
They are the liaison, I'll say it again. They help the Ethics Board navigate through the township. If there's questions, they're there to help answer questions. You're right, anybody can go to an Ethics Board meeting. This is just, it was set up, again, years ago, that at least we knew if somebody was assigned as the liaison, you would have some sort of council representative there to answer questions. Anybody can go. So I'm not, I'm not sure what the big deal is, and everybody can be a liaison if they want to be, so.
Okay, so my question then, you were the liaison.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, what were some of the questions you were asked to help them navigate?
Sure, there were questions about how the fire departments were funded. There were questions about how the budget process worked in town. Things that you would answer as a council person. Stuff that people didn't understand. That's the purpose of the position. Again, I'm not sure why we're making such a big deal of this. Everybody can be a liaison if they want. So you can show up and be a liaison. It's not a voting position. It's just we're trying to help the Ethics Board navigate through whatever questions they have. That's the purpose
Okay, it was
of
more the way that it was presented.
Well,
at
I
the last
apologize if
meeting.
it was confusing, and if anybody else wants to be a liaison, all the power to them. So, are you done, Dr. Greenberg Belli?
Yes, is that all right?
I want to go on to somebody else. That's
Thanks,
all.
no, thank you.
Anybody else, council comments?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
I'd like to comment on the Ethics Board myself. I mean, we have liaisons for different committees. We have liaisons to the Rec Board, for instance, and you have been a liaison to the Ethics Board. I find it an advantage to me, because I can call you up and say, Brian, is there anything going on with the Ethics Board? Is there anything I should be aware of?
Right.
Is there going to be a meeting tonight? Because we have had difficulty getting a quorum on the Ethics Board.
Right.
I find no problem with it, and if any council member wants to go, that's fine. If Lucille Panos, she was appointed, that's a good thing. I do want to make sure that you all know that there was no intent to abolish an ethics board.
Right.
The idea was, since we had problems in the past getting quorums on the ethics board, there was a thought that perhaps we should move it over to the state, and any concern or complaint that a resident had would go to the state, and it would be heard in a prompt manner. The fact of the matter is, I went to the state, and it took me 4 years to get a settlement on a case that I brought. 4 years. On the vote, actually, it was, from what I remember, it was a wash. There was, I think, 4 in favor of moving it, 4 against moving it to the state, and I abstained. So there was no intent ever to abolish an ethics board. It was just an idea or recommendation that we move it over to the state, because maybe we could have a better process.
Right.
That's all it was.
Exactly right.
So, thank you.
Mrs. Walker, I think you wanted to speak?
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to concur with Mr. Pischetti that was up here earlier about the public comment session. I believe if the resident has 5 minutes to speak, it doesn't matter if it's multiple subjects or one subject. They have 5 minutes to speak, and some of them, it's difficult for them to get here, and they don't want to wait till the end of the meeting. Sometimes they have to go home, and I think we should make it more multiple subjects.
Anybody else want to be heard? Okay, I'll close the council comments. Any report of the township clerk?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Yay.
Hey. Okay. Just to go over the dog licensing process, it's in progress right now. Renewals must be renewed by March 1st, so you don't get a late fee. The late fee is $5. All rabies vaccinations for renewals must expire by October 31st of 2016 of the licensing year. That's a state mandated rule. We're having some problems with that. People don't understand. We didn't put that into effect. That's state mandated. Has to expire after October 31st of the licensing year, or else we're not able to give you a license. Our computers won't even accept it. Next, all our taxis are being renewed at this time. Our limo licenses will be renewed in March, and money's collected in January, $16,551.
Okay. Can I have a motion, please, to accept the township clerk's report?
Make a motion.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Rosicrans, second by Councilman Panos. Any questions on the report? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green? Yes. Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Do we have a report of the township attorney?
Only want to note that there is going to be an executive session, and that's being modified. We will reconvene to a public session at the conclusion, and that's, we're doing that because if there has to be a vote taken, it's got to be taken in public.
All right, we don't need a motion on that. Thank you, Mr. Lazier. Move on to the administrative report. Mr. Marion?
He doesn't have one.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
The administrative report for February 8th, 2016. Item number 1, the township received approximately 2 feet of snow between January 22nd and January 24th, 2016. Total cost of the winter storm Jonas, which includes snow-related operations associated with the storm, is estimated to be $592,853.96. And that includes bulk salt, employee overtime, outside contractors, and repairs to equipment. I'll be providing, unfortunately, updates on winter reports for the next couple of months, so we'll track those costs like we did last year. Item number 2, just for the residents, resident winter event reminders. During winter storm events, it is extremely important for the streets in town to be free and clear of parked vehicles and other obstacles so that snowplow drivers and emergency responders can safely and effectively perform their duties. Also, shoveling or blowing snow on the streets is not permitted under Township Code and may create hazardous situations for motorists and pedestrians. For additional information, residents should contact the Department of Public Works, 732-721-5600, extension 6140, or visit the Township website. Ultimately, we'll be putting up some snow tips regarding what's required by town ordinances and just some helpful hints for snow removal. I'd also mention off the report that we do have issues with sidewalks in town. That's a big complaint we get from folks, especially around areas where kids are walking to school. So residents are responsible to shovel the sidewalk. We do send code enforcement out if it's not addressed in a timely manner. So please remember to do your sidewalks and your fire hydrants, I think, to make sure that the emergency responders can get to what they need to get to. Item number 3 and 4 are both JCP&L notifications of pending transmission and pending distribution vegetation management activity that's scheduled to begin throughout the 2016 year. Basically, they're removing incompatible vegetation and things from transmission lines, rights of way. So if you see any or have any questions or issues, I did send over to council, transmit to council, copies of the notifications about that work that's pending. We'll get notification, I think, 2 weeks in advance of any work to be performed, and I will promptly send that to council. If you have questions or issues, and residents aren't shy about calling up if they see, especially that helicopter.
Helicopter,
Yeah, with the big saw. Item number 5, on January 27th, Mayor Henry and staff from Administration, Engineering, OEM, Planning, and Police met with representatives from PSE&G to discuss the gas system modernization program that was approved by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities late last year and is scheduled also to begin this spring. The GSMP is a 3-year program under which PSE&G will replace up to 510 miles of gas main and 38,000 service lines to homes and businesses located in service territory, concentrating on urban areas that were already established in the early 1900s. Approximately 8 miles of gas main will be replaced in Old Bridge under this program. Hard copies of the January 28th, 2016 PSE&G list of work planned from 2016 has been forwarded to the Township Clerk's Office for distribution to council. And again, significant investment by PSE&G in the community, and we will keep you apprised of the status of that project. Item number 6, just a reminder, the Township Division of Tax Collection will be open Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. for the first quarter tax collection period. I believe we had the tax office was open on February 6th between the 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. It will also be open on February 10th. For additional information, residents should contact our Division of Tax Collection at 732-721-5600, extension 2999. Item 7 is a reminder, on February 12th and February 15th, all municipal offices will be closed for business in observance of Lincoln's birthday and President's Day holidays, respectively. Item 8, the 2016 Spring Recreation Program brochure is now available and includes another exciting lineup of classes, programs, and events for residents of all ages. Online registration begins on February 16th. And for additional information, residents should contact the Department of Parks and Recreation, where everything is online registration on our township website. Item number 9, the Old Bridge Business Alliance is actively seeking members to join a dynamic and growing business networking group. The next Business Alliance meeting is a joint happy hour with the Chamber of Commerce serving Old Bridge, Sayreville, and South Amboy, and that's scheduled for February 17th at the Texas Roadhouse. For additional information, residents should contact the Mayor's Office of Economic Development or email obedo@oldbridge.com. Item 10, on February 22nd, the construction official will be holding a special 2-hour seminar for local apartment and service managers on how the Township Gov Online system can assist them with rental inspections and overall permit management. The event is scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. in the Municipal Administration Building. For the next council meeting, I'm also going to ask council, we're going to do an update from our new construction official who's been in office for a couple of months. And we want to kind of give him an opportunity to come up and report to council some of the changes that have been made and some of the ideas, the public outreach and things that they're working on to try to make it more customer-oriented. So I would like to bring him before council as a discussion item and have him come up and report to you guys next council meeting. Item number 11, the New Jersey League of Municipalities Future Municipal Leaders Scholarship Competition is open to all high school juniors and seniors who are residents of New Jersey and plan to continue their education after high school. The deadline for submission of essays this year, again, to Mayor Henry is March 10th. And for additional information, residents can contact the mayor's office or visit our township website where the rules of the Lewis Bay Annual Future Municipal Leaders Scholarship Program competition. We always get some great essays from the kids. I know they come in before the council, read the essays every year, so that's a very positive thing. So we please encourage people to get writing on their essays. And finally, number 12, the Community Emergency Response Team Training. CERT is comprised of trained volunteers who provide critical support to our first responders during emergency situations and also provide assistance with non-emergency activities and projects throughout the year. The next CERT class is scheduled to begin on April 4th and will meet every Monday evening through June 6th. For additional information, residents should contact the Old Bridge Police Department, 732-721-5600, extension 3610, asking for Lieutenant Greenway. And I know that through these last couple of storms, CERT has been an invaluable resource for this community. So I know there's CERT people that you know that really help out during times of need, and they're very valuable resource for the town. I hate to do late-breaking news, but this just in. We did have a change in the start date for the Garden State, the County Route 516 over 18 project that was slated to begin February 5th is going to start now on February 19th. So I just make a note of that. We'll be posting the new information up on the township website. And under the Old Bridge Community Aggregation Program, the 30-day opt-out period for the OBCA program has ended. Residents will be receiving updated letters indicating that there's going to be a change, so they're going to get letters from JCP&L. We'll be putting new information up on the website so people can have that. Of course, we'll be ready to field calls along with Gable. There were some concerns raised by Mrs. Sohar, if she's watching, hopefully, recuperating and watching, regarding there were some developments that were left out of the mailings. We had a bunch of folks from East Brunswick get specific mailings, but since our last meeting, Mr. Chilton, who spoke before council, they put together special information for Rambling Knolls and for Farrington Estates. And they were back and forth with those homeowners association presidents, because I think there was some concern people didn't get a chance to participate or people didn't get a chance to opt out. So those are the last two things, and that's my report.
Great. Any questions for Mr. Marion about his report?
Yes.
Mrs. Pownds?
On your, on the CERT training, is that going to be put online? If somebody searched the Old Bridge website, like I had to actually type in CERT, but do you think you?
We're going to put it up on news and notices. I know
Yes.
I'm doing a little bit earlier this year because they really have a great turnout. And I know that the last one in particular, we had some great response and great help from them, especially when they activate the shelter. So you will see this online under news, and we'll probably put it out there on Facebook as well as I'll try to Twitter it out there. We'll have to see how that goes.
Okay, now actually I am a CERT member, so I'm well aware of them, and I just want the township.
Follow me on Twitter, Mrs. Panos?
I don't do Twitter.
She will now.
Any other comments for Mr. Marion? Okay, I'll take a motion to accept the administrator's report, please.
Make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz, second by Mr. Green. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, Mr. Marion.
Thanks, Mr. Council. I promised I wouldn't do a dab, but then I won't.
Okay, so, man. Move on to the consent agenda. We have items C1 through C4. Can I get a motion, please, to introduce? Make a motion, Mr. Mollis,
I will second.
and a second by Councilman Rosencrantz. Before I take separations from the council, anybody from the public want to be heard on items C1 through C4? I'll close the public portion. Council, we have any separations on C1 through C4? I don't believe we have any. So we have a motion and a second.
Yes, we do.
Roll call on the balance, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green. Yes. Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Walker. President Cahill.
Yes.
7 yes.
Public comments on any subject matter. Senator Thompson.
Senator Sam Thompson, 5 Lencroft Avenue, Old Bridge.
Thank you.
In light of the questions related to the Ethics Board earlier, I thought perhaps the council might like to know that there is legislation presently moving through the legislature. A bill was up in committee just over a week ago, in fact, which would abolish the local ethics boards and the county boards. The reason for that is that it's felt that you can encounter conflicts because the people that appoint people to the ethics board may be appearing before the ethics board for rulings. Additionally, it's been found that all ethics boards don't necessarily function the way they should. Thus, during the hearing, I cited a case of about 5 or 6 years ago, we had a complaint filed with the county ethics board here. It seems that a freeholder who was running for sheriff, in charge of the sheriff's department, and her freeholder running mates utilized a sheriff's county car and a sheriff's officer to film a commercial for their campaign. This is not only an ethical but a legal violation. The prosecutor wouldn't touch it, so we filed a complaint with the county ethics board. 6 years later, we're still waiting to have it heard. Consequently, the plan is to have all these complaints filed with the state, and the state would have the hearing. So that's something that's coming down the road. I think the legislation will get enacted.
Yeah. I think it's a Keene Beck bill, by the way.
What's that?
I think it's Keene and Beck are the ones that sponsored that bill. Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else? Sir?
I didn't know that.
Good evening.
Philip McGovern, 201 Yorkshire Court in Society Hill.
Thank you.
It's my belief that if you pay the bills, you have a right to know what you're paying for. And contracts, police and municipal workers are not on the website before they're signed. It was mentioned that the municipal people get off on Lincoln's birthday. Did I hear that correctly? On the 12th?
The 12th and the 15th.
Both in the 15th. Most of the rest of the world only gets President's Day. I would like to know if there's an ordinance of any kind that says that the contracts cannot be put on the website before they're signed. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public want to be heard? Yes. It's in there, right? It's in there.
Tony Pescitti, 40 Southwood Drive. My question is to Chris Marion for his report. I would like to know, since it cost over $500,000 to clear the snow from our last blizzard, which, by the way, did an outstanding job, and I will tell you, I will attest to this. I've been living in this town almost my whole life. The snow plowing has never been better these last 8 years. I will tell you that. I live in Southwood, and they do a fantastic job. And this last blizzard was a rough one, and they did an outstanding job. My question is, since it cost over $500,000, what was budgeted? Because I remember the discussions last year about budgeting for snow removal. And are we on track, or are we behind, or are we in danger of going over that budget? I would just like to know. Thank you.
Mr. Marion, would you like to?
All right, I'll start out by saying danger. We are over budget. This storm in particular, it's funny, Mr. Pescitti, when I looked at the costs, I was comparing my notes from last year's administrative report. I believe we had, this is just going from memory, so don't hold me to solid numbers. Last year, we had about 16 incidents, snow-related storm incidents that cost around $700 and some thousand. So it looks like we're trending that way again, depending on what happens between now and whatever the groundhog said, which I'm hoping is, a little bit better than what we're seeing. So in that case, that we did have money that we depleted from our snow trust, so this was definitely an impact in the budget, and it'll definitely be an impact in the snow budget going into this year. We had tightened up our numbers for the 16 budget to give to council for potential introduction on February 22nd, and we had to go back there and rework some numbers because we have to make sure we have enough to get us through this cycle. So that's going to be one of the parts of the presentation. If you recall from our budget presentations over the last 4 years, we've really tried to absorb those costs, and we've done a marvelous job. It's a credit to the men and women in the Public Works Department and Recreation and all of the folks, the contractors. So I do agree with you that the service has been excellent. This was a tough storm, but it does cost money. And I think when we look at those trends and try to, we're all over it, like the Priceline negotiators during the day, but you have to make sure that the streets are plowed efficiently. We had some issues, I was telling council people before the meeting, with some contractors this last time, and we really tried to make, changes in terms of the bidding it out and trying, so we have some ideas that I think will be helpful. Council President, not to be long-winded, and Mr. Lozier is already starting to nod that I am being long-winded. I think at the end of the snow season, which is hopefully March, we're going to bring Mr. Carpenter and all the folks up here, and we'll talk about some ideas we have, like a snow debriefing for the council,
Good.
so they can hear from them as well as myself.
Yeah, great. They are doing a terrific job. So, I mean, we have to keep costs down, which everybody understands, and we're working towards that, but great job,
This was a
Spencer.
big number. This was a big number.
Yeah, great job by, your team and the contractors that we have out there, so terrific. Anybody, I think I saw your hand. Yes, sir.
You sort of didn't answer my question about if it's okay for the police in a non-emergency to use the gate in our back of our
Well,
building.
Mr. Marion said he was gonna investigate that.
No, as a shortcut, is it okay for me to use it as a shortcut without getting a ticket?
Well, I would assume no, but I'm not a police officer, but I would assume that would be no.
Everybody.
Yeah, so,
Police officer or not, a non-emergency is a non-emergency.
so again, I'm not a police officer, but I would say,
Mayor, can you answer the question? You're in charge of the police department?
I would recommend you do not go around that chain.
I would recommend the police don't do it either then.
yeah, and I think we talked about the fact that,
Dunkin' Donuts take the U-turn like everybody else.
so we're gonna look at that, okay, we're gonna investigate that, yes, sir. Anybody else from the public? Close the public portion. Do we want to just do council member comments now so we can go into executive session? Anybody have any other comments? Okay, we get a motion, we want to read the executive session?
It's a resolution to exclude the public pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12:13. Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Old Bridge, the public shall be excluded from this meeting pursuant to NJSA 10:4-13 for attorney-client privileges. And it should read, there are no contract negotiations going to be discussed. Is that correct, Mr. Marion?
There'll be no contract negotiation.
All right. And litigation matters that are going to be discussed this evening, that being discussion of litigation for affordable housing. We shall reconvene in public session upon conclusion of the discussions, and that is so if a decision has to be made, it will be voted on at that time.
Need a motion to go into executive session?
We need a motion?
I need a motion to go into executive
I'll move it.
session, please.
Move
Moved by
it.
Councilman Rosencrantz. I have a second, please. I'll second it. There's a motion to go into executive session.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Off dais.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Off dais. Oh, yeah. Sorry, she said, yeah.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker? Yes. President Kale?
Yes.
6, yes.